Iran's foreign ministry has cast doubt on the future of negotiations with the United States, saying there is no plan yet for the next round of talks. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Bakai suggested in a press conference on Monday that Washington is not serious about diplomacy following 21-hour discussions in Islamabad that ended without agreement. The comments highlight deep mistrust between the two sides, even after a conditional ceasefire was reached earlier this month. Under that deal, Iran agreed in principle to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, while the US and Israel paused strikes on Iranian territory. With tensions still high and no clear roadmap for further dialogue, the prospect of lasting de-escalation remains uncertain. Thousands of people marched through Rabat on Sunday to show solidarity with Palestinians and denounce Israel's policies. Protesters carried Palestinian and Moroccan flags, chanting against starvation in Gaza and calling executions of prisoners a war crime. Political leaders, including Mohammed Nabil Ben Abdallah of the Progress and Socialism Party, joined the rally condemning violence in Palestine, Lebanon and Iran. Demonstrators also criticized Israel's no death penalty law for Palestinian prisoners, a measure widely condemned by Arab nations, the United Nations, and human rights groups. The protest comes amid fragile ceasefires in the region, including a US-Iran truce and a 10-day pause in fighting between Israel and Lebanon. The Kremlin has sounded alarm over the volatile situation in the Middle East, describing it as fragile and unpredictable. Presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov cautioned that the use of force would not only destabilize the region, but also deliver a heavy blow to the global economy. Moscow underscored that military escalation threatens energy markets and international trade, urging restraint and dialogue instead of confrontation. The statement reflects Russia's broader call for multipolar cooperation, warning that instability in the Middle East reverberates far beyond its borders. Russia's Federal Security Service announced on Monday that it has thwarted a terror plot allegedly directed by Ukraine against a law enforcement facility in the country's southeast. Officials claim the operation involved a German connection, though details remain limited. The FSB says suspects were detained and explosives recovered, preventing what it described as a major attack. Moscow accuses Kiev of orchestrating destabilization efforts with foreign backing, while Ukrainian officials have not commented on the allegations. The incident highlights escalating tensions between Russia and Ukraine, with claims of international involvement adding a new dimension to the conflict. Authorities say investigations are ongoing. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has accused Brussels of directly pressuring Serbia to send troops as part of what he described as an anti-Russian bloc. Speaking in Moscow on Sunday, Lavrov said European bureaucrats are making demands that challenge Serbia's sovereignty, framing the move as part of wider Western efforts to isolate Russia. He warned that such pressure undermines regional stability and risks dragging Serbia into conflict against its will. The comments come amid heightened tensions between Russia and the European Union, with Moscow criticizing what it calls coercive diplomacy. Serbia, traditionally balancing ties between East and West, now faces mounting international scrutiny over its position in the ongoing geopolitical standoff. Russia's first Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov has praised nuclear projects across Eurasia as vital to strengthening energy security. Speaking on Monday, Manturov said these initiatives are helping stabilize supply and reduce dependence on volatile fossil fuel markets. He emphasized that nuclear cooperation with Eurasian partners is not only boosting electricity generation, but also supporting industrial growth and long-term sustainability. Manturov added that Russia remains committed to expanding its nuclear footprint, presenting it as a reliable alternative in the face of global energy challenges. The comments come as countries worldwide grapple with rising energy costs and seek secure, low-carbon solutions for the future. Global dynamics are reshaping election oversight as the Russian Federation recently in Moscow hosted the maiden international conference on electoral observation, drawing over 150 delegates from 60 countries. Addressing the conference that held on April 14 and 15, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov proposed the creation of a new international association to ensure independent and political monitoring, an alternative to Western-led frameworks. He described it as an immune response by the global majority to imposed standards. Central Election Commission Chair Ella Pamfilova, for her part, welcomed broad cooperation, inviting delegates to observe Russia's upcoming State Duma elections. Kenyan parliamentarian Honorable Omar Munyi emphasized the need for independent non-Western frameworks, noting that the new association seeks to strengthen trust in elections while respecting national sovereignty.
Evaluation of electoral processes are vital to uphold democratic integrity, fostering trust among policymakers, electoral officials, and democracy advocates.
The two-day event concluded with the launch of the International Association for Political and Electoral Expertise, which will operate under a governing body made up of two members each from Eastern and Western Europe, Asia, Latin America, and Africa, represented by Uganda and South Africa. The body aims to strengthen trust in elections, safeguard sovereignty, and amplify voices of the Global South in a multipolar world. Togo has launched its 2026-2028 Sahel strategy, positioning itself as a diplomatic bridge between the Sahel and Gulf of Guinea state. At a meeting in Lomé over the weekend, Foreign Minister Robert Dussey stressed that Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger are full members of our West African family, pledging solidarity as security threats move southward. The plan, praised by UN envoy Leonardo Santos Simao as pragmatic, rests on five pillars: political dialogue, security coordination, regional integration, economic cooperation, and investment in education. Burkina Faso's foreign minister welcomed the initiative as the right perspective for regional partners. With coastal states facing growing militant pressure, Togo's approach seeks to maintain open channels with Sahel governments while preventing deeper fragmentation across West Africa. Civil society groups in the Democratic Republic of Congo are voicing strong concerns over a government arrangement with the United States to host third country deportees. Footage from Kinshasa showed daily life continuing as activists warned the deal lacks transparency. Jonas Chombela of the New Congolese Civil Society said Congo is not an experimental ground for U.S. immigration policy, recalling lessons from the 1994 refugee crisis. Writer Yves Yasuke Ponzo added the agreement felt vague and unsettling. The Ministry of Communication confirmed the arrival of a first contingent under a temporary reception mechanism, stressing it is transitional and not permanent. Yet the announcement has sparked mixed reactions in a country already strained by insecurity and conflict in its troubled east. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung held high-level talks in Delhi on Monday to expand strategic cooperation across trade, technology and security. Footage showed the leaders planting a ceremonial tree and officials exchanging signed agreements. Modi hailed the visit as a turning point, pledging to transform a trusted partnership into a futuristic partnership spanning supply chains, clean energy, defense and artificial intelligence. Lee, on his first trip to India as president, echoed the sentiment, calling India and Korea ideal partners for comprehensive cooperation. Both leaders also addressed the Middle East tensions, stressing the importance of peace for global energy markets. The visit marks the first by a Korean president to India in 8 years, with bilateral trade currently valued at $27 billion.